Pennsylvania man has been charged with fraud and identity theft after posing as Donald Trump and members of Donald Trump's family to defraud hundreds of Trump supporters. Now, the Trump campaign also engaged in quite a bit of scammy behavior, but when we're talking about a private citizen who has no power, you know that this system will drop the book at him. And they should. You shouldn't defraud people, you shouldn't steal identities. Now, Joshua Hall is charged with fraud and identity theft after federal prosecutors said he misrepresented himself or others while soliciting funds for a purported Trump reelection organization that did not exist. Instead, Hall used the funds raised, thousands of dollars, for his own personal living expenses. So what did he do exactly? There was actually a lot of hard work behind this. He created various social media accounts that later were able to accumulate as many as 100,000 followers. And when he created these accounts, he pretended to be various members of Trump's family, including, yes, even Barron Trump, Trump's youngest child. He pretended to be one of Trump's siblings, and he was soliciting donations from Trump supporters by posing as various members of Trump's families. He even created a fake political organization to raise the money and even got media attention for it, positive media attention for it. Now, Hall impersonated one of Trump's siblings, and that's who they're referring to with victim one here. Hall, impersonating victim one, made a public social media post that falsely stated that victim one runs the fictitious political organization with Hall and that Josh is doing great work, so please give him a follow and support him. Now, Hall didn't just pretend to be one of Trump's siblings, as I mentioned earlier, he also pretended to be Barron Trump. And so in the official federal complaint, prosecutors write that Hall, impersonating victim two, made a public social media post that stated that Hall was victim two's friend, meaning Barron Trump's friend and partner, and that Josh is an amazing patriot who is doing tremendous things for our great country. He has my complete and total endorsement, with complete and total endorsement in all caps. Very Trump-like there, of course. And what I find fascinating about this is, yes, he should suffer the consequences, the legal consequences of defrauding people. No one should do it. I think when a group presents themselves as gullible as Trump supporters have presented themselves, unfortunately, they end up being a target for these types of scams. But what's also really interesting is how the two-tier justice system really does play a role in this particular case, because while federal prosecutors are like all in, they're going after this guy. They're like, all right, Joshua Hall, he's committing these crimes. We need to make sure we prosecute him. The Trump campaign engaged in all sorts of scams and no one got prosecuted for that. So just to remind you all, Trump pretended to be raising money for the court battles pertaining to the 2020 general election, when in reality, the vast majority of that money that he was raising was going toward his own political action committee. So there's that. There was a disclaimer at the very bottom of those solicitous emails in fine print saying that more than 80% of those funds would actually go to Trump's PAC. There was also the fact that he transferred a whopping $2.3 million of campaign funds to his private properties, which should maybe be investigated. Seems like he might have broken a law there. But I also want to remind you of this.
Trump tried to make up his deficit in funding by tricking his own supporters who thought they were donating once to then be suckered into donations that were double, triple, or over 5 times the original when they became monthly. The Trump campaign using this money bomb strategy to bilk people in the campaign's final weeks. And the campaign then spun those donations, which basically skirt the line of fraudulent inducement, into a narrative of, they claimed, public success. They even bragged they got a record $14 million in donations after the first so-called money bomb. The campaign was so desperate, it took the con to very blatant lengths, automatically rolling donors into weekly recurring donations, which ensured that way more MAGA fans would notice, and they did. And they accused their beloved president of overseeing a fraudulent operation, which forced Trump and the RNC to refund over $122 million.
So sad, so sad. You know, what can you expect from the law and order president? I mean, when he said law and order, he just meant law and order for people who have no power. But when it comes to following the laws himself, not really interested in that, which is why he's facing multiple investigations. But what's frustrating is that he's not facing investigations over his scammy behavior toward his own supporters. Joshua Hall is, and he should. Trump and his campaign goons, no, they can rip off their supporters. They can scam their own base, and they seem to get away with it. Looks like the law doesn't apply equally to all, does it?
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.